Greetings, kinsman. So now it's time for the door. I've had period tents before, and the one thing that just infuriates me the most is that I have to untie 20 ties to get in and out of my tent. You could just keep it untied, but I don't know, I just like to keep it tied up, I guess. So I'm setting up the saw to make sure that there's at least a 1/4 inch of the blade above the board. This is to ensure that there's plenty of blade to cut the material, but not too much blade to create friction on the cut. I had some scrap 2x3 left over from another project that would be perfect for this project. Right now I'm setting it up to 3/4 rips, so I can just take one board and get 2 out of it. Right now I'm measuring the header and the footer to 2 foot. This is the maximum width that I can have for the entire project so that it can fit into my compact little Mazda. For the door jambs, I measured that out to be 6 foot long, as that is the maximum dimension that I actually needed, as I'm 6'1", and that's more than I need to get under the door. I'm using a speed square on my header and my door jamb to make sure I have a nice clean 90-degree angle. Now to cut a piece to fit in there to brace it up. Some of you will realize why I'm taking it back apart, and if you do, leave a comment down below. There are certain parts I'm going to be using glue and other parts where I'm not, and it'll be more obvious why later on. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like it, and share my work to help spread the news about my channel and help it grow. If you have any comments, questions, or what have you, please leave them down below and I'll do my best to answer them. Again, this footage is about a year old, and sometimes I forget what I did 5 minutes ago, let alone a year. And this is the bottom plate or the footer of the door. Fun little fact, Mongolians had a kind of unwritten rule that you did not step on that bottom plate, as it was like stepping on the throat of the owner of the house. Got a bit of a jam there. These brad nails really don't do much to hold it in place. It's pretty much just there as a temporary tack, just to make sure that I can put a screw in it and it won't move around on me. Also, be sure to pilot all of your holes so it doesn't split the wood. This is white pine and it will split in a heartbeat. These are 1 3/16 square drive screws, and they're my go-to screw for anything really. It's less slippage and strippage. I think I put this at 3/4 of an inch, and this is going to be where I'm going to place the door to make sure that it has something to press up against. This is another part of the door jamb, which the actual door will attach to and lock into. Like the locking mechanism will go into this. You'll see that later on. Also, take note that I'm wearing a different shirt. This project took several weekends in a row to figure out, as I didn't have much time, but you invest time as you have it to complete the projects that you like. This is a pocket hole jig. It helps you screw one board into another board at a 90-degree angle and keep those screws hidden and flush. When placing your pocket holes, make sure that's around 6 to 12 inches depending on the application. The more holes you have, of course, the stronger it is. For this sort of application, it's not going to see a whole lot of stress, so I just made it out to about 12 inches for every hole. Some will notice the mistake that I'm making right now. There we go, the screws were on the wrong side. Now I'm just making sure that that door jamb is right where we made those lines earlier. And you got to do this for every hole that you drill. Every time you reclamp it, you have to then tap it back into that place to make sure you're on that line, because that board will warp and twist on you, and that'll make sure that it's right where you want it to be. If you notice another mistake that I'm making right now, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Yep, that's it. Really quick product review. This is Hyper Tough from Walmart. Garbage. Don't get it. These are small little bar clamps that I got from another discount tool store. You know which ones I'm talking about. And they're pretty useful for these kinds of applications. The reason why I'm sanding it is that these pieces aren't flush, and I'm just making it flush with the sander. Another wardrobe change, by the way. Now, I didn't glue this on purpose, and you'll see later why I didn't. And now this piece is to make sure that those pieces I just attached, the door jamb pieces, to make sure that those are braced up. Not sure why my camera wanted to go to sepia. It's trying to white balance something, and it just, anyway, it's odd. Ah, there we go. Nice. Back to normal white balance. Wherever you place your pilot hole, make sure you're at least 1.5 inches away from the edge, otherwise it will split the wood. What I'm doing here is sizing up the panel to fit inside that door frame. I'm also making sure that I have the right grain on the right side. This is going to be the showpiece that everybody sees before they enter into the yurt. And ultimately, you're the one that decides what looks good, what doesn't. Pro tip, if you go to the hardware store, I got this one at Lowe's and it had some damage on it, and they'll take 70% off of that panel or any other piece of wood or something else that's damaged, because they can't sell it like that as is. But it was perfect for my needs, and I got it for like $2. Also notice those pocket hole screws are facing up, and it's not where people can normally see it. I really need a bigger workbench. I actually have an episode in the works showing you how I built a new one. Now I'm going to cross-cut the length to fit inside the door frame. FYI, this is a builder square and it helps give me a nice straight 90-degree line. You'll see later on that I cut on this side because there were some cracks down on that lower part, and I thought I'd just cut those out. Can't figure out how to get the door out. It's pretty obvious to most people, but yeah, I eventually figured it out. I really like the look of a chamfer routed edge. Right here I'm just using a scrap piece to make sure I have the right depth so I don't ruin the end product. The song you're listening to is made by my friend Chip. Check out his SoundCloud account listed in the description below for more. When routing, you want to make sure that you go nice and easy. You don't want to go too fast, as it might create splits in the wood, especially with white pine or softer woods will do that. I go back and forth around the edges to make sure that I get all the way around. Sometimes it'll skip past or won't route the entire corner. This is a little trick to help seal up those cracks to make sure they don't spread throughout the entire panel. Just kind of filling it with glue and working that glue in, then I'll clamp it later. It's not the best angle, but this is what a bar clamp looks like, and I'm going to clamp it overnight to make sure that those cracks are held together and not going to keep spreading. Now it's the next day, took the clamps off, and I'm just sanding off the glue. I don't think there's any perfect placement for the door hinges, but I just wanted to make it 1/3 down and 1/3 up from the bottom. Just look aesthetically better, I guess. Really not a good sound. I have no idea at this point why it's doing this, so I'm going to leave it as a part here, and next episode you'll see how I fix this problem. If you like this episode, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and click the bell button. And don't be afraid to leave a comment below to share your thoughts, advice, and questions. If this has helped you in any way, buy me a horn of meat on my Ko-Fi or head over to my Patreon. If every sub gives just $1 a month, our projects will become more epic and our stories legendary. I also have my own merch, so you can show your love for the channel and look good doing it. But more importantly, be humble, be helpful, and be honorable.